So, welcome to Paleo Talks. Last time we talked about the Devonian period, which is not this mountain, it's right here. So today we are going to be talking about the Carboniferous, which actually comprises both of these two. This is an outdated timeline. But the Carboniferous is both of these two, and, as you may have guessed by the title, giant bugs. One of my personal favorites is Magniora, a dragonfly the size of an eagle. Yes, you heard me. It is the size of a literal eagle. And it's a dragonfly, so here it is in comparison. Okay, maybe a hawk, but still, it's very large. It's a giant dragonfly. What more do you want from me? Now, a bunch of cool stuff in the Carboniferous period. I think you can see it in this picture. Can't really see it, but these trees are actually what are called scale trees. And the bark of them is a lot like scales. They're very interesting looking. Just Google it when you're done here. Another one of my personal favorites, Arthroplura. So here is Arthroplura. I'm talking about this one, the big one. And it is, here's our buddy, the old 1.8 meter tall human. You know him, you love him. And here's Arthroplura. So you can tell this is just absolutely massive. It's not, people aren't sure if it's a centipede or a millipede or what it is. They don't know what it ate. They think it was more, it ate more plant material. That's what they think it ate. They're not sure though. But they do know that it could rise up, kind of like a cobra, and hiss and stuff, and just scare the bejesus out of anything that tried to kill it. And here it is, scaring the bejesus out of Protogyrinus, right here. That lizard person, he doesn't look very scared though. There it is, rising up, trying to intimidate it. And here, as I said, Protogyrinus. So this thing actually hunted Arthroplura. You can see here's a good picture of the scale trees. You can see the scale trees right there. See what I mean? They do look like scales. So Protogyrinus, it's a large amphibian. I know it looks like a lizard, it's not. It's quite large. I couldn't find a size comparison of it, but you can see how big it is compared to Arthroplura, and how big Arthroplura is compared to a human. So you have a rough estimate of how large it was. And last, and certainly not least, my personal favorite in this lineup, Paleo, a giant scorpion. Again, our buddy, the 1.8 meter tall human, next to Paleo, around 3 feet long. Just like that other scorpion, you know, it only took for a few million years for it to get on land. So it's very large, again, a light bulb sized stinger. This thing is nasty in a really cool way. And so obviously these markings and stuff, the way it's designed is very fanciful, because scientists aren't sure what color it was, but they know it was a little clawed scorpion. Good way to tell little is used very relatively here. And these claws are about half the size of my fist. So, the way scorpions work, this is for all scorpions, not just prehistoric scorpions. And this does not include Eurypterids. We talked about those in the first episode. This is not Eurypterids. This is true scorpions. It will cover Brontoscorpia though, for it wasn't a Eurypterid. So big claws. It uses claws to big claws, little sting. Little claws, big sting. Meaning that if it has big claws, it typically uses its claws to just crush its prey to death, and the sting is sort of a, ow, that hurts, I'm gonna go leave you alone now. Whereas these little clawed scorpions like that, you can see its claws are quite small. The claws are just kind of there to hold the prey in place while they sting it to death, and they have a very, very toxic sting. If the smaller the claws are, the more toxic the sting is. So, you generally want to avoid them. Of course, this thing is 3 feet long, and I don't even want to imagine how that sting would be. Probably be dead within like 30 seconds or something. So again, very large insects, very large, insects and arthropods. That's the word arthropods. Here's the thing, is you may wonder, how did they get so huge? Well, back in the Carboniferous, fun fact, most of the coal that we dig out of the ground today, which we need to stop digging out of the ground so we can keep living on the planet, was formed during the Carboniferous from all these dead scale trees. All the dead scale trees, right there. All of these, yeah, that's what makes the coal. So, the forest during the Carboniferous, the entire planet, all land on the planet was swampy and stuff. So our oxygen nowadays air is about 20% oxygen, something like that. And bugs are relatively small. The largest are only about that big, which when talking about insects, that's pretty big. We're talking about bugs this big, and more than 8 feet long in the case of Arthropoda. And you may wonder, how did it grow that big? How? How is that possible? Well, back in the Carboniferous, as I said, all the land was covered with swamps, lots of trees and lush vegetation and stuff. How? The oxygen was almost a third of the atmosphere was oxygen. 33% oxygen. Now, the bad thing is, wildfires galore. A lightning strike would actually be able to, a lightning strike that would light a tree on fire would cause an enormous forest fire, just because of the sheer amount of oxygen in the air. So a lot of these animals are this entire period is very susceptible to forest fires. Global forest fires were not uncommon. Well, not global, but continental forest fires. The entire forest on a continent just gets set ablaze. That'd be cool to look at from space. You're like, oh wow, look at that, it's on fire. So yes, thunderstorms of this period are very scary. Now the thing is, a lot of smaller, like sometimes the swamps were susceptible to flooding. So things like there were some burrowing spiders. And their burrows would flood, they'd have to dig new ones. Arthropoda are largely peaceful, as most people think. I'm not sure, I don't understand how something this big is peaceful, but I'm going to take the scientist's word for it. It is definitely scary. I would definitely be scared if that thing reared up. I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave you alone now, buddy. You keep eating your dead leaves. I'm going to go. So it's a lot of big scary insects. Magneura, as all dragonflies, are carnivorous. Yes, if you didn't know that, all dragonflies are carnivorous. Magneura was no exception. And, it was the size of a hawk. So, Plymnoscorpus, obviously, carnivores. All scorpions are carnivores. And our amphibian lizard guy, buddy, as we call him, Protogyrannus, of course, also a carnivore. Look at those big. You can see it better in the picture with the Arthropoda. Actually, you can't really see it, period. But they've got big teeth. You can just kind of tell. This is definitely something that looks very predatory. And it was. So that will wrap up episode 3 of Paleo Talks.